Dinosaurs ruled the Earth for over 165 million years. However, there were many animals that lived before, during, and after that were just as formidable. We've picked 72 that dominate the others. In this show, we will talk about these dangerous animals, including when they lived, what they ate, their weaponry, and how humans would fare if these creatures were still alive. From the largest venomous animal of all time, to birds that could take out animals 30 times their weight, to a pterosaur that could kill a T-Rex, this is 72 Dangerous Animals, Prehistory. Dinofelis grew up to 8 feet long and weighed up to 250 pounds. It lived 5 to 1.2 million years ago in Africa, Europe, Asia, and North America.
Dinofelis was roughly the size of a lion and had very large, powerful front limbs and a pair of saber teeth. While its canines were as long as Smilodon's, they were still longer than modern cats. Dinofelis had small and weak molars, preventing it from crunching bones with the back of its mouth. Dinofelis likely had a spotted or striped coat, as it lived in forested areas. However, it was also likely present in prairies and wetlands. Dinofelis hunted grazing animals and baboons, as well as hominids such as Australopithecus, Para-Australopithecus, and Homo habilis. Para-Australopithecus skulls have been found with Dinofelis marks in the crania. Dinofelis was the most notorious of the prehistoric big cats due to this reason. Its name means terrible cat. Dinofelis couldn't run very fast, and therefore was an ambush hunter that would have taken out prey by leaping from the shadows or out of a tree onto its prey. It would have been able to rustle prey to the ground and use its powerful front limbs, then would have used its canine teeth to kill its prey. Dinofelis likely went extinct due to competition from larger predators and climate change.
This hominid-killing cat leaps in the first place. Will it be able to hold it against a highly specialized cat-like killer? Marsupial lion grew up to 5 feet long and weighed 287 pounds. It lived 2 million years ago to 30,000 years ago in Australia.
Marsupial lion was named for its resemblance to African lions and their role as the top predator in their ecosystem. While marsupial lion wasn't at the very top of the food chain, as that role belonged to the formidable Megalania, it was still a creature that nobody would want to mess with. Marsupial lion was the largest carnivorous mammal to ever exist in Australia. Marsupial lion had the strongest bite of any mammal pound for pound. It had an unusually small brain compared to its skull size, allowing for better muscle attachment, and therefore a stronger bite. It could take down large prey such as Diprotodon and Procoptodon. Marsupial lion's incisors would have pierced the flesh of its prey's throat, while its carnassials would have crushed the windpipe, severing the spinal cord, and cut the jugular vein. While it takes African lions 15 minutes to kill their prey, marsupial lion could do it in less than 1. In fact, the reason they went extinct was due to how specialized they were. They were so perfectly specialized at killing large prey that when said prey died out, it couldn't adapt to eat smaller things, and went extinct as well. Marsupial lion had powerful forelimbs equipped with retractable claws and opposable thumbs. It could stand up and balance itself on its back legs and tail like a kangaroo and slash at its victims using its claws. Marsupial lion could climb trees and likely carry the carcasses of its prey into them to protect it from thieves, such as the previously mentioned Megalania. They would have raised their young in dens they built in caves. The young would have stayed with their mother until they were able to do their own hunting. Marsupial lion was an ambush predator and likely leapt from the tree onto the back of their prey. They were not fast runners, so everything they targeted would have been caught by surprise. Marsupial lion had good senses of hearing, sight, and smell. It had blind canals in its nasal cavity, like modern Tasmanian devils, for detecting pheromones and sniffing out a mate. They would have fed like modern cheetahs, slicing its prey's ribcage open with its teeth to feed on the internal organs. Along with the decrease in prey populations, Humans and their fire usage added to the rate of marsupial lions' extinction. After it died out, no substantial apex mammalian carnivores have taken over marsupial lion's niche.
Marsupial lion isn't quite as infamous as a human killer as Dinofelis. While they both would have taken out hominids, Dinofelis was much better at it. Marsupial lion settles for second spot. Up next is Superhawk, that is much larger than Haast's eagle. Hey guys, Logan Headings here. The size of Gigantohyrax has been disagreed upon, so here's how we calculated it. Gigantohyrax's leg bones were several millimeters longer than Haast's eagle's. Haast's eagle also had extremely short wings compared proportionately to other hawks and eagles. To create a relative body size, we first scaled up Haast's eagle to have a 10-foot wingspan, then overlaid an image of a modern harrier and scaled it until they had the exact same sized body. With both of them having the same sized body, the next thing to look at is the wings. Since Haast's eagle had shorter wings, Gigantohyrax at the same size had a much larger wingspan. Gigantohyrax also had a longer tail than Haast's eagle, which was also broader than Gigantohyrax's. This puts its wingspan up to approximately 13 feet wide, and its body length at approximately 5 foot 10. Gigantohyrax had a wingspan of approximately 13 feet and weighed 33 pounds or more. It lived 12,000 to 5,000 years ago in Cuba.
Gigantohyrax was a giant hawk that rivaled Haast's eagle in size. Gigantohyrax was almost equal in weight to Haast's eagle, or possibly even larger, and its leg bones were the same size. But Haast's eagle actually had shorter wings. Thus, Gigantohyrax actually most likely had a much larger wingspan than Haast's eagle. Gigantohyrax was also nearly 6 feet in length, compared to Haast's 4.5. Gigantohyrax was extremely strongly built, and had larger and stronger talons than its relatives. It likely spent lots of time on the ground, hopping and running from place to place. While Haast's eagle spent its time taking out prey that weighed hundreds of pounds more than it did, Gigantohyrax took out prey smaller than it, including snakes, lizards, rodents, and birds. Gigantohyrax would have had extremely good eyesight to spot prey from a distance. It would have soared around until it found something of interest, then dove after it like modern birds of prey. It could have chased its prey on foot as well. Gigantohyrax lived at the same time and in the same place as multiple other species of giant raptor. One of these, Ornamengalonyx, is later featured in R72. Gigantohyrax likely died out due to climate change and human activity. Haast's eagle was a known human killer, but Gigantohyrax was potentially 40% larger, resulting in an even more dangerous super predator. Imagine this gargantuan hawk dropping from the sky and digging its talons into your back, then flying off with its easily earned kill. Gigantohyrax would have had competition, but no predators as an adult.
Gigantohyrax doesn't have the human-killing power that our previous animals had. It takes third place. Up next, the largest of the ground sloths. Megatherium grew up to 20 feet long and weighed up to 9,000 pounds. It lived 5 million years ago to 8,000 years ago in South America.
Megatherium, the giant beast, was so massive and powerful that no predator ever dared take it on. At 20 feet long and 14 feet tall when standing on its hind limbs, this giant ground sloth was a force to be reckoned with. Not many land mammals surpassed Megatherium in size, only a few prehistoric elephants and Indricotherium. While primarily an herbivore, it is hypothesized that Megatherium could have eaten carcasses to gain additional nutrients in its diet. Megatherium was equipped with 7-inch long claws on its fingers that could be used as dangerous weapons. Any animal that tried to attack it could have been gutted by these claws. Standing on its back legs, Megatherium would have been able to reach vegetation much higher up than other herbivores in its habitat, preventing competition with other species for food. Megatherium was forced to walk on the sides of its feet, as its claws made it unable to walk flat on its feet. While Megatherium could spend most of the time in a quadrupedal stance, fossilized footprints showed that it could stand up and walk on its hind legs in a bipedal fashion. Megatherium's mouth was very narrow, and had a prehensile tongue and lips. One thing to note about this beast is it is hypothesized that avocados were a particularly fond snack for Megatherium, and the seed was so large so it could safely pass through the digestive system and not be crushed by other organic matter. Labeled an evolutionary anachronism, The term applies to selective pressure still present in today's era, although the cause of the pressure may be extinct.
Megatherium was not a super predator like our previous 3 killing machines. While it was massive with dangerous weaponry, it was an herbivore and wouldn't have actively sought out humans to kill. It takes 4th place. Up next, a gargantuan snake. Titanoboa grew up to 50 feet long or possibly even larger and weighed up to 2,500 pounds. However, it was hypothesized it could reach over 4,000. It lived 60 to 58 million years ago in Colombia.
Titanoboa was by far the largest snake to have ever lived, dwarfing the green anaconda, reticulated python, and even Gigantophis. This massive snake fed on anything it could catch. It was a generalist predator that would have eaten any animal it believed it could have taken. Titanoboa likely preyed on crocodiles, fish, turtles, birds, and mammals. 10-foot-long lungfish would have been targeted often. However, they were likely swallowed whole without being constricted. Lungfish can't be suffocated by being removed from the water or drowned, and it would have been far simpler to swallow a live lungfish whole than try to kill it by constricting. Like with modern anacondas, Titanoboa females may have resorted to cannibalism and eat males from time to time, as males were much smaller. Titanoboa killed by cutting off blood flow to the brain, like modern constrictors. If Titanoboa was in the water, it could have also killed prey by drowning it. Titanoboa could crush prey with a force of 1,820 newtons, as well as bite down with an equal force. Titanoboa would have had over 100 3-inch long backwards curving teeth. With modern anacondas, a bite to the hand could only be removed by pushing your hand deeper into the mouth, then pulling it out, rather than trying to pull it out immediately. That and hand sanitizer / rubbing alcohol are the only ways to get an anaconda to release its grip on you. Pouring several drops of hand sanitizer into the mouth of an anaconda will make it release its grip, no matter what it's biting on. But compared to the Titanoboa, removing your hand would be impossible. With 100 plus daggers digging into your torso, nothing you could do would prevent you from becoming a meal. Maybe only dumping an entire bottle of hand sanitizer into its mouth could save you, but even then, you would quickly bleed to death from your stab wounds that have ruptured every organ in your body. Titanoboa's normal prey was killed by ischemia in seconds. However, a human would be so small compared to it that it would have likely held onto you with its jaws until you were weakened enough to swallow, or held you underwater to drown you. Titanoboa's lower jaw could have moved independently of each other, allowing it to slide forward from one another repeatedly until the entire prey item was swallowed. While prey was being pulled into its mouth, Titanoboa could breathe through its glottis and nostrils, preventing it from suffocating itself. Titanoboa, along with all their snakes, created their hissing sound by breathing out forcefully through their glottis. Titanoboa's strong stomach acids were capable of dissolving the entire bodies of its prey, from flesh to bone, and even turtle shells. While on land, Titanoboa would have been extremely slow-moving, clumsy. However, it could strike in 70 milliseconds to snatch a prey item. In the water, however, Titanoboa would have been a speedy assassin. Titanoboa would have sat at the bottom of a body of water or waited for something to come near it. It would then strike out towards the animal and snatch it from the surface. It could have waited near the shore to snatch animals drinking water too. Titanoboa could have held its breath underwater for up to 1 hour, if necessary. Titanoboa attained the sizes it did due to the Earth being considerably warmer than it is today. The Paleocene was 54 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than it is today at the equator, where Titanoboa lived. This allowed for a much faster metabolism, releasing pressure on digestion, circulation, and respiration, allowing this animal's body to focus on growing instead of these other tasks. 30 Titanoboa skeletons were unearthed from the Cerrejón Formation in 2009. 9 of these skeletons averaged around 47 feet long, the smallest being 43 and the largest 51 feet. These skeletons suggested that Titanoboa regularly attained these massive sizes. As global temperatures cooled over time, Titanoboa's metabolism could not continue to be supported. This likely led to the animal's extinction. Later on, in other parts of the world, existed giant snakes as well, such as Gigantophis. It was nowhere near the size of Titanoboa, but this was due to decreased temperatures as well. Over time, no snakes that massive could be supported by Earth's climate. Today, the largest snakes that remain live near the equator and still attain some pretty impressive sizes, just nowhere close to the giant we call Titanoboa.
Titanoboa was unmatched in its size and strength. This snake is no problem being a larger threat to humans than the other 4 in our episode. Getting attacked by Titanoboa would be a very brutal way to die. Titanoboa takes top spot, pushing Dinofelis to number 2, Marsupialion to 3, Gigantohyrax to 4, and Megatherium to 5. Incoming, the largest marine crocodile of all time. Matromosaurus rex grew up to 33 feet long and weighed up to 6,000 pounds. It lived 154 to 130 million years ago in Africa.
Machimosaurus rex was the largest of all ocean-dwelling crocodilians. M. rex, not to be confused with Mortem rex, spent all of its time in a marine environment, much like the Metriorhynchids. M. rex had short, rounded teeth that had been used to crush prey with. That and its bite force allowed it to kill large turtles and ammonites. Sauropod remains have been found with M. rex tooth marks, proving that M. rex would have hung out around the shore and snatched prey from the water's edge, as well as catching prey in the open ocean. It was capable of chasing down prey on its own. It did this more frequently than lying in wait. M. rex used pressure sensors in its snout and electroreception to detect prey. Its skull measured over 5 feet long. M. rex had a powerful tail that it used to propel itself through the water and steered itself using its hind limbs. It had well-developed muscles on the head and neck that allowed it to dive deep really well. M. rex would have come ashore to lay its eggs on land, rather than give live birth. Its only predators would have been large pliosaurs. At 33 feet long, or larger, this would have been a very dangerous animal for people to be around. M. rex was used to taking out large prey, and humans would not have been a challenge at all.
Matromosaurus rex isn't as strong as Titanoboa, and as a matter of fact could have been prey for Titanoboa if they lived in the same time and place. It also isn't as much of a hazard as Dinofelis or Marsupialion. It takes 4th place, pushing Gigantohyrax to 5th and Megatherium to 6th. Titanoboa finishes in 1st, winning the episode and moving on to our finalists. Next episode on 72 Dangerous Animals Prehistory, a monstrous baboon, yet another giant snake, and a massive shark-killing mosasaur.
The Tyrannosaur Lithranax name means King of Gore.
In each episode, we will rank the creatures from 1 to 6 on a scale of how potentially dangerous these creatures would be to humans, and the winner of each episode will showdown with the other 11 finalists in the season finale to decide on which prehistoric creature was the ultimate human killing machine.